Honourable members, the committee came out with numerous amendments to the bill, and the advice was that the amendment should be integrated, leading to the withdrawal of the bill. So it cannot be true that the public is not giving adequate notice and members of parliament are not also giving adequate notice. So certain impressions are not very good for our record. That is the fact. Yes. The fact is that this bill has been introduced after the constitutional imperative in Article 106 has been satisfied. Now, under Article 106.13, it's talking about explanatory memorandum and 14 days gazette prior to the introduction of the bill. But this bill has been gazetted 2nd May and introduced in this House after the 14 days constitutional mandatory period has elapsed, and refer to the committee. It is the committee's amendment that necessitated the withdrawal of that particular bill and a new one being introduced. And that introduction is under a certificate of urgency. So nobody can claim that the actual bill is just for the sake of convenience going through a numerous amendment being carried out on the floor. That's why all these exercises are being undertaken. So this House have notice of this particular bill from its first introduction, but not the second introduction. And then the constitutional imperative in Article 106(2) has also been complied with. So that's why I'm saying that it is for the convenience of the House. That is why we are at the stage that we are now. Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know, now our proceedings are broadcast live on national television. This morning I was listening to radio, I think City FM, and I heard a caller in requesting that they watch our proceedings, but sometimes they don't understand. And they were asking a panelist on City FM if you could help with explaining what happens in Parliament so that they can understand the proceedings. And so I just thought to use this opportunity to explain these developments where we come under certificate of urgency. Ideally, what has always happened is when it is laid and referred to a committee, the committee goes to work on it. The committee then recommends amendments. The amendments are ordinarily advertised. And sometimes when the amendments are many and they are advertised, the next thing is it is referred to winnowing. Because when the committee's amendments are many and individual members of parliament also introduce many amendments, then in order to manage the amendments and not to waste the time of the House, because we have to take the amendments one after the other, you refer it to the winnowing committee. Then at the winnowing committee, we try to reduce the number of amendments and get to a reasonable number and then bring it back to the House and take whatever we have agreed on through the consideration stage. Very often, you also find out that the amendments are so many, even after winnowing, the amendments are so many that you think that the best option, as leader, the best option you would recommend is that, look, Minister, withdraw the bill, send it to the Attorney General, let them reconcile all the amendments into an intelligible bill, and then you bring it back, and then we will withdraw the old bill and lay the new bill with all the amendments that have been agreed upon, which the Attorney General's department has worked on. When that happens, it becomes unfair to that bill to let it go through another period of gazetting, 14 days notification, coming to lay it, refer it back to a committee, and then, because you've worked on it. You've worked on it as a committee. And so it is not that we are rushing to pass through the bills with the use of certificate of urgency, but it is because we have in fact worked on the bills to a certain level of detail. And so if you brought them back, you are just wasting the time of everybody. Indeed, this bill, if my memory serves me right, came in the last parliament. And it was sent as far as the consideration stage. It was because towards the end of the life of that parliament, there was so much, disagreement, so much litigation that led to the parliament not sitting until election time. And so several bills that we should have finished before the expiry of the life of that parliament were not finished. So the minister came and met the bill, and because the life of that parliament had elapsed, she had to bring it back. But in fact, we had worked on it in the last parliament. But even then, I advised her to get the committee to go and still look at it, because there could be new developments and new policy initiatives that you want to inform the final rendition of the bill. So last week, they had a retreat as a committee. They worked on it. They reported to me that they had so many recommendations for amendment. And I then advised them that if that's the case, then go to the Attorney General, let them incorporate the amendments, make sure that every amendment is consistent with the principles of the bill and earlier clauses of the bill. And then, because they are the experts, we can make amendments here, but if we don't allow them to look at it, we may make amendments that will contradict earlier provisions or even subsequent provisions, or even undermine the very principle informing the bill that is before us. So that was what happened. And so Attorney General redrafted the bill to capture all the amendments proposed by the committee. And then it was brought and laid. So I then recommended that they should take it through a certificate of urgency, because we cannot afford to go back. And as you know, we are going on recess on Friday. So if we're going to go and then do another, gazette notification and then go through another consideration stage, we will be overtaken by time. So I plead with you that these are the circumstances and these are the facts. And I believe that the bill has been around for so long that interest groups that have wanted to make an input have had a fair opportunity to make an input. So on that note, I urge colleagues that let's allow the report on the certificate of urgency to be approved, so that, you see, the report of the certificate of urgency doesn't mean that if at this stage you have an amendment, you cannot introduce it. It just means that the time-bound procedures for advertising, should be abridged so that we can move with some speed. So you can still introduce amendments if you have some, but let us take it with some speed that will enable us to pass it before we go on recess on Friday. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We want to thank the Majority Leader for offering such an explanation. I think it brings clarity to the issue. And I think our honorable member has had a fair understanding of what is going on. But my question is, at the nick of time, do you think that we can go through all the motions, considering the fact that we have all these debates to undertake, and we also have other issues to look at? I'm sure he is concerned because of the time allocation to look at such an important bill. And that is the reason why maybe he's raising concerns about it, not just because he doesn't want to do it.
Yes.
It is a bill that is very, very important.
Yes, the indication is that we are not doing the consideration today.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Right. That is
consideration will not be today.
Thank you.
Yes. Honourable members, I think I have the sense of the House to put the question. The question is, as many as are in favor of the motion numbered 15 at page 4 of today's order paper, say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Now, motion number 16 at page 4. Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. You may move the motion number 16 at page 4.